and how that led.
That's okay. We're going to run it again, kids. You know why? Because if you fall, you get up again. And if you fall a second time, you follow Jesus' example and you get back up again. And if you fall a third time, you follow Jesus' example and you get back up again. And if you fall a fourth time...
Great. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Gospel Truth.
I'm Dean.
And I'm Audrey. And this week we celebrate the 5th Sunday of Lent.
5th Sunday.
High five.
High five.
Yes.
You're almost there.
We almost made it through Lent. Almost there. So hang in there. This week we want to talk about this theme of purpose. Mm-hmm. And we also want to talk about the role that Jesus played in God's new covenant.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a lot of good things to unpack today. But before we begin, do you want to give everyone a reminder of what the gospel truth is?
Of course. So the gospel truth is all about Audrey and I sharing our thoughts about the word, faith, happenings in the church. Hopefully by doing that, we can better understand our own faith, and maybe you as the viewers can get something out of it as well.
Yep.
And of course, we dive into our readings, TLDR. So, one more reminder for you. We're going to be using the regular readings this week, not the scrutiny readings. So the scrutiny readings are used anytime you have anyone in your parish that is going to be baptized on Easter. So these are just the normal year B readings. Mm-hmm. So the first reading comes from the prophet Jeremiah. And Jeremiah is saying that God is planning on making a new covenant for us. And that God will forgive all of our evil doing and our sinfulness and will remember our sin no more. Mm-hmm. Now, how is he going to do that? This new covenant? Well, you will find out soon.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So the psalm says, "Create a clean heart in me, O God." In other words, we're asking to be forgiven of our offenses. We're asking to return to God, to repent, and so that we can be more ready to take part in God's covenant. In the second reading, the reading from St. Paul to the Hebrews, St. Paul is actually explaining that Jesus' death was the fulfillment of that covenant that they were talking about in the first reading. He says, "Son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered, and when he was made perfect through his death, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him." So that's a pretty cool reading. I like that one. Mm-hmm. And then in the gospel, from the Gospel of St. John, a lot of what Jesus is saying is talking about his mission and his purpose, saying that the hour has come for him to be glorified, saying that unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. And people are probably like, what are you talking about again, Jesus? We'll come back to that later.
It's like the 5th week. They're just like, what are you talking
it's just
about?
Like, why are you talking in code?
Yeah.
But Jesus says a lot about fulfilling his purpose here. And Jesus says specifically, what should I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this purpose that I came to this hour. He's aware that his purpose on earth is to die so that he can eventually rise from the dead and save us all. So that's your readings, TLDR.
A lot of good stuff.
I know, right? A lot.
Good culmination. I feel like in the past few weeks we've been like building up to a lot of things, and this is a really good, a good time for this kind of chat around purpose.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Right. If we come back to that statement that Jesus made, it was for this purpose that I came to earth. You see, Jesus is super aware of why he's here. And let's be real, it's not a very good, he does it for good, but like what he has to experience is not going to be pleasant for him.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was very scared. I mean, as we know in the future readings, when he's on the cross, he'll say, my God, why have you abandoned me?" So he's for sure scared.
Yes.
Right? Very human.
Yeah. And, despite that though, right? Despite that fear, he understands why he's here.
Yeah.
And we all know that he willingly enters into his passion for all of us to save us from sins, to basically fulfill that covenant that God said he wanted to do for us in the Old Testament, that new covenant.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, what is his purpose, right? His purpose is to just be this vessel to forgive everyone's sin and basically be the keys that unlock the gates of heaven for all of us.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to see and witness that because of him, we'll have a chance to have, what he has with God.
We'll be able to join him in paradise, basically. He's giving us that opportunity. And, if we come back to something that we mentioned last week, if you remember, last week's reading was from John 3:16, where it was God so loved the world that he gave his only son, right? That just goes to show you how much he loves us, that he was willing to give his son for us. And the fact that Jesus is willing to give of himself for us, I mean, that's real love right there.
It is, right? And I mean, sorry, I might get a little emotional again, but to love us so much, and I'm going to send my son and just show you how much I love you. I know that I'm sending my son here and he's going to die for you, just to show you that there's life after death, human death.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful. And I think, and what's so crazy is that Jesus has been kind of hinting at this whole Lenten season. I feel like if we rewind a bit, they're wondering when his apostles are raised from the dead. What is he talking about?
Right. He's just sort of been planting these weird seeds.
And they don't get it.
In the previous weeks of Lent.
Yeah.
Where he's the Son of Man must die in order to receive salvation. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? We don't get anything that you're saying. Who has to die? What has to happen?
Yeah. Raising from the dead.
And then Jesus says, hey, by the way, don't tell anyone about this. At least not until I've risen from the dead. And everyone's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so Jesus is basically saying that he's actually going to raise himself from the dead, but the humans don't know that yet.
Yeah,
so,
that's the third gospel reading where Jesus is saying something and no one can understand. They're just rise from the dead in 3 days. It's just a crazy time for everyone.
For everyone, right?
Yeah.
They're just trying to comprehend everything that he's saying and cannot grasp it.
And so, I mean, that just kind of goes to show that Jesus has been laser focused from day one on what his mission has been. He's known from the start what he's been sent to do. And I mean, I think that it just speaks volumes, right? He's just so focused on his calling, and that calling is to fulfill the new covenant for us.
Yeah, he's living that purpose-driven life, He's just
nice.
Right there, he's got blinders on. I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
And so I think one way to kind of view Jesus' laser focus on his purpose is to kind of think about moments in our lives where we feel we have pursued something that we are called to do or pursue our own purpose, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about times in your lives. If you really want to try to understand what's going on right now with Jesus, think about a time in your life where, maybe you're embarking on a new career path or a new job, right? Very scary. But there's this calling that you have, to try to do something new. Or, I mean, maybe those who are going to become parents soon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Any sort of expecting parent, that your goal and your purpose is to be a good parent for the child that you're eventually going to raise.
Yep.
But that's not to say you're not nervous about it.
Yep.
That you're not scared.
Yep.
It's what you're meant to do, but you kind of call on God to help you out and say, can you guide us, help us to be better? And that's kind of what Jesus is saying too, is that, I know what my purpose is. It's not like I'm not afraid, but I'm going to fulfill my purpose and go all in on it.
Yeah, because you're gonna, the hope is at the end, you fulfill your calling, and we're all better for having gone through it, right? And even the people who witness us go through it, it's inspiring, and you hope to inspire others through your struggle and through fulfilling your own purpose, to inspire others to do the same with whatever calling or purpose they have for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you all have or know someone in your life that you kind of just look at and feel like they have things figured out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're fulfilling their purpose and they're following what they feel they should be doing, which is an inspiration for you to kind of get you to do something and fulfill your own purpose as well.
Yeah.
Right? And we can say that through Jesus following his purpose, he's inspired people over the past 2 millennia to follow him and follow God.
Yep.
So yeah, that's really one way to think about it. And so as we are wrapping up this season of Lent, that's this really cool metaphor, right? I kind of see these sets of readings as like the penultimate episode before the series finale of your favorite show.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you see Jesus and he's kind of saying like, this is it. The hour has come. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
the hour's coming?
that's a good that's a good analogy. Like, I mean, you know, when you're watching a show, in the beginning you're like, what's going on? But now, like, you're understanding like what he's been meaning around these cryptic messages. But now that you understand like what's to come and how is this season gonna
like how is the season gonna end? The series gonna end? Well, you know that the next week is Holy Week, right? The most important week of the year where we learn about Jesus' passion and we go through the Easter Triduum, that beautiful set of masses that just walks through Jesus' death and resurrection. Yeah.
It's going to be like a 2-part Lenten series finale, basically.
Right.
So we look forward to unpacking that with you, but we hope our discussion today kind of gave you a little insight into kind of where we're thinking the readings are bringing us this week. We encourage everyone to reflect a little bit on your purpose and use Jesus's journey and how he fulfilled his purpose for us as inspiration to fulfill your purpose for yourself and for others.
Yeah, very good. All right, so we'll see you next week, everyone.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Gospel Truth. The Gospel Truth.